This is Any Man today, reminding you that you have the power, and to help you use that power wisely and well, we bring you Eaga and Cocoa Ninja Skills, the secret Shinobi scrolls of Chikamatsu Shigenori. Translated by Yoshie Minami, who is part of Anthony Cummins' Historical Ninjutsu Research Team. Eaga and Cocoa Ninja Skills, the secret Shinobi scrolls of Chikamatsu Shigenori, including a commentary on Sun Tzu's use of spies in the art of war. Anthony Cummins and Yoshie Minami, The History Press. Contents: title page, acknowledgments, author's notes. Part 1. The skills of Eaga and Cocoa. The oral tradition of Eaga and Cocoa and additional articles on the use of spies. Second part of the scroll by Master Yorihide of Eaga. Shinobi Hyogo no Maki, the Shinobi Way of Divination scroll. Hoi no Maki, the volume of principles. Ingu no Maki, the volume concerning ing tools. Hinomaki, volume of fire. Kakureru Tane no Maki, hidden element scroll. Gokkue Ten no Maki, the secret scroll of heaven. Part 2. An Eaga and Cocoa commentary on Sun Tzu's use of spies. Further teachings from Sun Tzu. For the prosperity and future of Koka Shinobi. Appendices. Copyright. Acknowledgments. This book could only be dedicated to Chikamatsu Shigenori himself, who, in his foresight, collected the secret traditions of Eaga and Cocoa from the education of all who follow this path. A special thank you must be given to Kevin Aspinall, who posed for some of the images, and to Mr. Takashi Shimizu for his aid with some of the more unintelligible sections of the text. Also, my thanks to Jason Kane for his vast efforts with the images and illustrations, and lastly to Jackie Sheffield and Sean Barrington for their editorial help. Author's note. This document was written on the 15th day of the first lunar month in the period of Kyoho 4, 1719. Also, all of the important points from Hara Yuken Yoshifusa's Ninja Scroll and the associated oral traditions have been passed on and have all been given together with a certificate of qualification to Chikamatsu, the transcriber of these words. Koka Shinobi no Den Miraki. This single passage above initiated my search for the elusive ninja scroll of the shinobi named within it. To my bitter disappointment, the shinobi Hara Yuken Yoshifusa was nowhere to be found, nor was his text, making what was a great lead for a full Koka ninja manual a dead end. Or so I thought. That was until I considered that maybe, just maybe, the scroll was not under his name, and that the information found within it was also recorded in one of Chikamatsu Shigenori's own scrolls. Chikamatsu Shigenori was a tactician scholar, more on him later, who continued devotedly to record ancient and military ways. So my thought process was, why would he not transfer this information into his own scrolls? This led me to hunt down his more obvious military texts, the ones listed under his schools such as Zenryu and Ichi-Zenryu. But after scroll upon scroll and search upon search, there was nothing to be found. It was again with a flash of inspiration that I knew I'd been looking in the wrong place. I had been searching for a title only, so I changed my angle and found a listing of his major and extended works, all collected under his name, which contained about 150 scrolls, and, lo and behold, there it was, glimmering among the black ink of the other titles. The use of spies. To find some of the ninja scrolls of yore, you have to put yourself in the position of a writer of the medieval period and take note that the word shinobi is not considered a positive one in the world of Edo period Japan. However, yokan, the use of spies, is reference to Sun Tzu's 13th chapter in the Art of War, and that chapter of this famous text contains the 5 Chinese spies, where there are 5 types of spy. Surely the shinobi will follow. The reasoning paid off. Document number in hand, I and my translation partner, Yoshie Minami. Narrator's note, Yoshie Minami is the actual translator. Anthony Cummins just adds his 2 cents on the completed work and then has it published under his name. Ordered copies of 4 of Chikamatsu's scrolls that appeared to have this spy thing. Waiting in the dark streets of Warabi, Japan, I saw Yoshie approaching and we moved on to a traditional English tea shop, a local haunt where many of our translations are completed. After a pot of tea and the usual cake, I could contain myself no longer, and Yoshie produced the now familiar red and white envelope that a certain university sent their documents in. Beaming, she said, "It is full of shinobi information." Hours and more tea later, she had read through the titles and given a brief explanation of most of the points found in the manuals. I sat back, knowing the day would come in the not-too-distant future where I would be writing this introduction, knowing that my happiness would spill onto this page. But the fairy tale does not end there. The scroll quoted at the beginning of this introduction was a scroll from the area of Koka, as the words were being said by the Koka ninja Kimura. However, to my pure delight, Chikamatsu, in a wondrous turn of events, had not only recorded most of the Koka traditions, he had also studied with a master shinobi of the Eaga line and recorded and compared the 2 traditions. Words cannot express the satisfaction of such a find. Not only do we have a reputable figure in Japanese history, and not only did he learn and record the written and oral traditions of the shinobi, but in his foresight, collected both the traditions of Eaga and Koka, the premier spies of all Japan. Eerily, in his own introduction, he states that his recording of these very secret skills was for posterity and for the future study of those to come, who follow the path of the shinobi. But not in his wildest dreams would he have considered that there would be here in English, the language of the world, to be studied across the globe. It is with great pleasure that Yoshie and I present to you the collected shinobi skills of Eaga and Coca, and a commentary on Sun Tzu's use of spies, compiled and taught by Chikamatsu Shigenori, a ninja treasure beyond price. Anthony Cummins, 2013. Chikamatsu Shigenori. Famous for tea and the tea ceremony, the image of Chikamatsu in the West is considered from the wrong angle. When searching for information on his life, often the primary focus is put on the only other work of his published in English, Stories from a Tea Room Window, a text on curiosities pertaining to tea, which is often followed up with he was also known to be a military tactician. This is a skewed vision of a man who can be considered one of Japan's premier Edo period military scholars, who also happened to like tea. However, what is buried even deeper in the historical mist is Chikamatsu's connection to the shinobi, Japan's spies, now known as ninja. When reading any Edo period military scholar's work on the science of warfare from Japan, you will almost always find references to shinobi. But again, almost all of the time, this is a brief instruction on how to use shinobi or how to defend against them, containing no more than a few paragraphs. Chikamatsu, on the other hand, is a licensed master of a full Koka ninja tradition, and also a student, if not a master, of the shinobi arts of Eaga. Master Kimura of Koka awarded Chikamatsu a Kyoju license, confirming that he had a full transmission of the scrolls, complete with all of the oral traditions, making him an instructor of Shinobi no Jutsu, the art of the shinobi. However, we must not fall into the trap of placing him solely in the realms of the shinobi. Chikamatsu also had licenses or instruction in many other military and classical arts, such as poetry and Shinto, and overall was a man dedicated to the study of warcraft. According to the Shirin Sokai, the official record of the samurai of Owari province, Chikamatsu's grandfather, Chikamatsu Shigehide, started his service for the third inheritor of the Owari Tokugawa clan, Lord Mitsutomo, at an unknown date before 1664. He became the magistrate overseeing 2 districts, and held the office of magistrate of the water supply, Mizu Bugyo, a position of importance. The Owari Tokugawa clan were one of the 3 great houses of Tokugawa alongside Kii or Kishu and Mito Tokugawa. His son, Chikamatsu Shigenori, who is Shigenori's father, entered into the service of the Owari clan in 1691 and later became the head of craftsmanship and controlled the lumber for the lord's residences in Edo. He died in 1732. Stories from a Tea Room Window, Lore and Legends of the Japanese Tea Ceremony by Shigenori Chikamatsu, translated by Kozaburo Mori. Chikamatsu Shigenori was born in 1697. The name he was most commonly known by was Hikonoshin. He was also known as Renpeido, after his training hall, and Nogenshi. At the age of 16 in 1712, he entered the service of the Lord Tokugawa Yoshimichi as an otoriban, a form of page or helper, and was transferred to the Lord's residence in Edo in 1713. At this point he put on a demonstration for the Lord and performed Iai, sword quick draw from Katayama Ryu, also Takanao Ryu, military fighting arts, Shinen Ryu staff fighting, and other military ways. The Lord was greatly impressed and promoted him, bringing him to his side as a close retainer. The Lord had an enthusiasm for the martial arts and had the aspiration to found a school called Zen Ryu, Zen meaning all or complete. It would be a school that integrated the best from various different schools. With this intent, he taught Chikamatsu military warfare himself, and also told him to teach the military arts to the Lord's own son, Sir Gorota, who would be his successor. However, the Lord died that year, and Sir Gorota also died very young soon after. This meant that Lord Sugutomo succeeded as the head of the family, and from then, the situation went against Chikamatsu, and he returned to Owari province. In Owari, he had time to spare and devoted himself to training in military affairs and founded a school called Zen Ryu, also Zen Ryu Renpei-den, which he later changed to Ich Zen Ryu, presumably to continue his original lord's wishes. The school started to take students in 1715. Chikamatsu's own writings states that he learned Nagano Mario Heigaku, military studies, with Master Saigyoku Ken Saeda Masanoshin, and was licensed Menkyo Kaiden in 1731. Nagano Mario had strict criteria for those who were licensed with Menkyo Kaiden, and out of more than 1,000 students, only 10 people or so were given such a qualification. Chikamatsu was one of them. It appears that Chikamatsu did not hesitate to learn from any teacher, even after he had his own students and was considered the master of his school. He compiled and wrote a vast amount of work, which he started at the age of 17. More than 100 of his works are still in existence today, most of which are concerned with military studies, but also the collections include considerations of the tea ceremony, of poetry, and other subjects. Chikamatsu died on the 17th day of the second month in 1780, over the age of 80. Chikamatsu appears in a collection of stories collected by a group known as the Tenpo Kaiki. This was a group of samurai serving the Owari Tokugawa clan with the aim of conversing and recording things of interest such as literature, poems, history, and other various subjects. This band of intellectuals was organized by Fukada Masatsugu, born 1773, died 1850. The subjects brought forward by the members were recorded in 6 books between 1830 and 1843. The first meeting of the group was held in the era of Tenpo I. Hence the group was named Tenpo Kai. Chikamatsu appears in Book 3 of the Tenpo Kaiki records, which states, "A retainer of our domain, Renpeido Chikamatsu Hikonoshin Shigenori, each morning washed his face and hands, dressed himself in hakama, traditional trousers, and prayed in front of the Kamidana altar, which was dedicated to Amaterasu, Daijingu, Atsuda, Hachimangu. His prayer was thus: "Please afford me success in war." Then he also prayed to a charm from Akiba Jingu, saying, "Please protect us from fires." After this, he went down the Keikoba training room and performed 5 kata from each of his martial arts, or bugei, and then had breakfast. He kept this routine all through his life, each and every morning, without fail. Also in the text it states, he was friends with Komiyama Soho, who he knew from tea ceremony. Once he said to Soho, "I would like to ask you for a large favor. Will you please say yes?" Soho said, "You should first tell me what it is, otherwise I cannot agree to it." Shigenori replied, "Please lend me 100 gold coins." Soho said, 100 gold coins is not a small amount, and I have to talk to my head clerk about such a matter. Therefore I cannot lend it to you at this moment." Shigenori said, "I do not need it now, but I would like to have you promise the amount to be given upon the eruption of war." Soho said, "In that case, the answer is simple. I will lend you the money you require." Shigenori said, "I am so very happy that you have understood my situation and have agreed. I will be able to sleep soundly from tonight on." This was said with a smile. The next day he showed his gratitude with a present of sake and food, and continued sending him sake and food at various times, such as Bon, and the end of every year for the rest of his life. I, Masanori, say, consider the character of Shigenori with these 2 episodes above, and you will see that he was solely obsessed with military matters. However, he also wrote with concern about many subjects, including the tales of Mukashi Banashi, old stories, and other books. He liked the tea ceremony and wrote Saiko Jidan. I know I stumbled a bit, I'm not very good at pronouncing Japanese even when it is in Romaji. Old stories about the path of tea, which cleared up a lot of uncertainties about that way. They say Shigenori lived in the Horeki and Meiwa eras and served under the reign of Taiko, Tenpo 10, 1839, 15th day of the first month, Fukara Matsatsuku. The Renpei-do, Chikamatsu's training hall. The Renpei-do was the name of the school that housed Chikamatsu's teachings, and to date we do not have a reference to its exact location nor its size. However, we have concluded that it is Chikamatsu's personal house, and that it was situated to the south of Nagoya, or Owari Castle. The term Renpei is a word taken from Nagano Mario, meaning training soldiers, while do means construction or building, but in this case, place of. It is unknown just how many students Chikamatsu had under his banner of Ichizen Ryu, and how many attended training at the Renpei-do building. However, this is where Chikamatsu would have passed on his military knowledge, including the Shinobi information. Kimura Okonosuke, Fujiwara Yasutaka, sensei of Koka. Kimura Okonosuke was a Kokomono, or man of Koka, who was employed by the Owari Tokugawa clan. Unfortunately, his name is not in the listings, meaning that he was probably too low-ranking to be named and was probably a statistic under one of the headings of the clan listings. What we do know is that he had a brother who seems to have been more accomplished and was recorded in certain documents. The only mention we get of Kimura Okonosuke is from a listing in late Edo period, much later than our Kimura, which states that he got his name from his forefathers and that he was employed to look after cannon and to undertake construction, and lastly to be a guard. While not conclusive, it would seem that this is our Kimura's descent. Chikamatsu penned the document Mukashi Banashi, old stories about the Owari Tokugawa clan, in 1738, and here briefly Kimura and his brother appear, and while the reference is slight, it shows that the Kimura brothers were heavily involved with Shinobi Jutsu, and were of course Kokomono from the Owari branch. The first episode does not contain the Kimura brothers. However, it does deal with Koka mono of the same domain, and therefore has been included here. The episodes are as follows. The first episode. Ueno Kozaemon and his family have their origins in Koka of Omi. From old times and until his grandfather, his family were in charge of Shinobi as well as other things for the whole Kai province. The grandfather's brother, Wada Magahachi, was a minor captain of the 50 bodyguards assigned to the Lord of Owari Tokugawa. Once, Lord Zureryu-in departed from Owari to Edo and went as far as Kawasaki. The Lord heard that a retainer was told to keep the gates of his castle strictly locked when they had left, and he had hoped to send a letter back to the castle about a matter he had forgotten to attend to. He called for Wada Magahachi, and when he came to see him, the Lord gave him a letter and told him to deliver it discreetly and bring back the reply to the lodgings they would be in the next night. Magahachi immediately went back to the castle to deliver the letter and came back with the reply to the Lord's lodgings the very next evening. The Lord was extremely pleased and praised him. Magahachi's son, Magadayu, changed his surname to Ueno, and his son is the Magahachiro of this day, 1738. Wada and Ueno are both local names for Koka. The second episode. Kimura Okunosuke's brother, Kimura Kogoemon, was called by the Lord to a place called Yokosuka and was asked to demonstrate the use of floating aids, ukigutsu, to the Lord. The demonstration went very well. Also, Kimura Kogoemon was good at shooting muskets because he was studying at Tatsukeru. On top of this, he discussed the subject of Shinobi and of his family traditions, and was thus appointed to enter the Gojinin Gumi, 50 bodyguards. These were men chosen from second sons and below of good families, that is, families who at least held the position of magistrates and were known for their skill at arms. These bodyguards would keep the Lord safe while on journeys or when hunting, etc. Kimura's brother later became a sub-captain or Kogashira, which is a leader of a squad of 5 of those men, making 10 Kogashiga in total. When the Mount Koya incident in Kishu took place in 1692 and Ronin were about to rise up united in arms, the shogunate sent examiners to decide if an army should be sent and if other Ronin were going to join the rebellion. At this point, the Lord told Kimura Kogoemon to discreetly investigate the situation. Kimura Kogoemon presented a detailed report, including drawings of Mount Koya, and so on, within 2 days, most likely through the Koga network. Takenoshita Heigaku Minamoto Yorihide Sensei of Eaga. This warrior is the man who Chikamatsu studied Eaga ways under. It appears he is a man of Ise, a province near Eaga, and that he is not a native born of Eaga himself. However, he teaches the Eaga arts, and therefore we have added the suffix of Eaga to his name. In truth, this means that we consider him to be of Eaga in the sense that he is an instructor of Eaga traditions and of that lineage. In the Mukashi Banashi document, Old Stories about the Owari Tokugawa clan, Chikamatsu referred to Takenoshita Heigaku in an article on archery. Chikamatsu states, "I learned the arts of how to shoot arrows from horseback, traditions found in Ogasawara-ryu from Takenoshita Heigaku, who is an Inshi, hidden warrior, in Yokkaichi of Ise province. The skills from Heigaku of an Eaga line descent are transmitted in 2 other books. I added them to the subject of war horses in the basic course of Ichizen Ryu, which I founded and started teaching this archery in 1727. We are the first to train and shoot arrows from horseback in Owari province." Nagano Ryu. Nagano Ryu appears frequently in this book and is a school of military studies founded by Nagano Muneyoshi, born 1635, died 1690. He studied Koshuryu and other various Japanese schools. Also, he studied Chinese manuals, including the Bubishi, not the karate text, but the Ubeishi, a colossal war manual, and also the Kikoshinsho, or Ji Shao Shinshu. I know I'm probably butchering that too, but at least bear with me. He produced the document, the Heiyoroku, which is the main text of Nagano Mario, which attached importance to gunnery and the drilling of soldiers, and taught more than 1,000 students. Chikamatsu was not among them, as he was too young. His schools were inherited prominently by two students, Saida Nobushige and Miyagawa Ninsai, and these two branches continued up to the end of the Edo period. Saida Masanoshin of Nagano Mario. Born in 1654, this warrior is quoted extensively by Chikamatsu in this book, and was of course Chikamatsu's instructor in this school. Also known as Saigyoku-ken, he was from Owari province and at first served Shinjo province, and then moved to Edo where he studied and taught Nagano Mario. Later in 1706 he served Tsu province, probably remaining in Edo, and died in 1742. The manuals used for this translation. This book is based on 5 manuals found in the Chikamatsu Shigenori collection, 2 sets of 2, a main manual and its companion text, normally with extra information and further oral traditions, plus the warning scroll given by Kimura of Koka. We have decided to divide the complete teachings into Part 1 and Part 2. Firstly, the Shinobi skills of Eaga and Cocoa, and secondly, the Eaga and Cocoa commentary on Sun Tzu's 13th chapter from the Art of War. Even though Chikamatsu's manual can be found in various locations, our manuals are from Hosa Library in Nagoya, details of which are given overleaf. First is Yokan Kajo Denmoku Kugi. Translated, it means oral traditions from Eaga and Cocoa and additional articles on the use of spies. The second one is Yokan Denkai Kudensho, the oral traditions on the study of the use of spies. Then you have Yokan Denkai, a study on the use of spies. Yokan Rigen, the traditional sayings on the use of spies. And Koka Shinobi no Den Miraiki, for the prosperity and future of Koka Shinobi. The Yokan Kajo Denmoku Kugi were oral traditions from Eaga and Cocoa and additional articles on the use of spies. The bulk of this translation is of the manual and is made up of the collected skills and oral traditions of Eaga and Cocoa from the respective lines and schools that Chikamatsu studied under. Each article is given a name and an explanation of the skill is given below it, sometimes in a 3-stage format. Chikamatsu himself states that he is recording these skills for posterity, and that he has written down around 60 to 70% of the oral tradition, or kuden, that were passed on along with the original manuals for generations. This leaves 30 to 40% of the oral traditions missing, and they cannot be guessed at in full. However, a clear example of these missing skills can be seen in Kimura of Koka's statement, found in the manual Koka Shinobi no Den Miraiki, in which he says that the deepest secrets of Koka Shinobi include subjects such as toothpick hiding, a skill which does not appear in this manual and therefore should be considered one of the missing oral traditions. That being said, Chikamatsu also states that he's tried to hide nothing, and that he has attempted to be as straightforward in his description and recording as possible, so that no future misunderstanding of these skills can take place, and that while some sections are missing, it is not something to fret over. It must be noted that while Chikamatsu claims these are the secrets of Koka and Eaga lineages, we know now that not all lineages from Eaga and Koka shared identical skills. The Bansenshukai manual, a collection of Eaga and Koka skills, does share elements of the skills found here to quite an extent. However, there are significant variations, and information that is not found in the Bansenshukai is found in the Chikamatsu scrolls, and vice versa. Furthermore, scrolls such as the Shinobi Hiden and Gunpo Joshu, which can also claim Eaga lineages, differ somewhat from the skills listed here, showing that while many manuals claim to have the collected skills of Eaga and Koka, a unified, definable Eaga or Koka line of ninjutsu is theoretical, even in the Edo period, meaning that there was no single repository of a full curriculum of the skills of Eaga and Koka, and that elements differ from family line to family line. That being said, it is clear that a firm and identifiable record of the shinobi arts is a reality, and while skills do differ between lineages, the aims and themes of the teachings remain the same, and countless times techniques appear in different formats that have a shared origin. This means that even though terms like Iga-ryu and Koka-ryu are bandied about at least as early as the 1700s, they were not a codified school with a firm curriculum, and they had no central base. Chikamatsu's own school, like those of other famous schools, maintained a dojo or training hall. Iga-ryu and Koka-ryu cannot be seen in this way. Taking all of the above into consideration and understanding that the information in this scroll was compiled from the teachings of real shinobi of Eaga and Koka lines, we have to let the scrolls speak for themselves, showing just how impressive and detailed the shinobi skills of these regions were, taught as Eaga and Koka shinobi once taught them. The Yokan Denkai Kudensho, traditional sayings on the use of spies. This is a transcription of the above manual, the Yokan Kajo Denmoku Kugi, and was based on teachings given in a lecture by Chikamatsu Shigenori, who is named in the work as Master Nankai. The information was written down from these lectures by a man named Suzuki Shigeharu. Nothing is known of Suzuki, but the text has an ownership stamp naming a man called Suzuki Shinkichi, who is presumably a descendant of his. On the whole, this text is identical to the first scroll as it contains the same information and format. However, at points, additional sheets of paper have been overlaid on the manuscript with further teachings that contain more detail for some of the subjects. Unlike the two manuals that follow this one, which while similar have been kept separate in the English form, we feel that it was necessary to combine both of the above manuals to form one translation, a complete record of the skills and methods written down by Chikamatsu. Those who wish to study these two manuals as different entities will find that the position of the additional information from the second manual has been identified in the footnotes. The Yokan Denkai and the Yokan Rigen manuals. These two manuals have been combined into one single translation but retain their own identities. The reason for their combination is that the second manual is a copy of the first but contains more oral traditions and further explanations on each point. Therefore, in this book we have merged the two manuals together as one, but identified which manual says what. The two manuals are commentaries made on Sun Tzu's 13th chapter in his Art of War. This chapter is known as Yokan in Japanese and translates as the use of spies. This chapter is accepted as the single script that helped to develop spycraft in all of Asia, including Japan. The commentaries are from both Eaga and Koka traditions and allow a superb insight into not only what was considered the Chinese method of spying, but also the deeper skills and meanings that the Japanese added to the original text. Whether these editions were originally used in China and passed down and across to Japan is unknown, but it does permit a grand tour of espionage in feudal Japan. The commentary sheds light on tactics such as acquiring internal spies via converted spies, or the combination of the use of converted spies alongside doomed spies, those who are sent to their deaths. It cannot be overstated how much of a delicious and substantial find this text is, for not only is it an explanation of the deeper meanings of the now famous 13th chapter, but it also presents to us the tactics of the premier shinobi of all Japan. The original manuals are ordered so that a single quotation is given from the chapter, and an explanation and teaching is given below. In our translations, we have written the quote from Sun Tzu and then identified which manual each translation comes from. On occasion, this involves a little too much repetition, but not enough to warrant the merging of the two into one text. Chikamatsu wrote them at very different periods in his life, and therefore it is not correct to merge them as one here. The original text included quotations from other manuals and commentaries on the 13th chapter. However, they have been taken out as they are not directly connected to Eaga and Cocoa traditions and rarely talk directly of the Shinobi. The Koka Shinobi no Den Miraiki Scroll. The Koka Shinobi no Den Miraiki is one of the most important non-instructional ninja documents in the collection of the Historical Ninjutsu Research Team, and possibly in the world of Japanese shinobi research. Dictated by Kimura Okonosuke Yasutaka to his student Chikamatsu Shigenori. It outlines the master's fears for the ever-declining Koka shinobi and predicts the fall of the shinobi with extraordinary accuracy. The reason for its importance is the issues that Kimura raises. Firstly, Kimura says that anyone under the age of 70 at the time he is writing, born after 1650, has no connection to anyone who is living in the Sengoku period, and thus the practical skills have been diluted and are not realistic or second nature. Furthermore, it provides an extremely rare view of the inside of a shinobi school. It shows that ninjutsu was practiced in the military compounds and that within these schools there were multiple levels of knowledge that were kept secret from others. This document is of vital importance, showing us how shinobi were close to their lords and how they fell from prominence and how the shinobi of Koka once were one band. Directions and days. On page 79, you will find that the manual suddenly takes a dramatic detour from identifiable shinobi skills as it enters into the Shinobi Hogyo no Maki, the Shinobi Way of Divination scroll. For this part of the scroll, you may find yourself as a reader perplexed to the meanings and terminology, and even a little taxed. This scroll lists the associations between the movement of the heavens and the Chinese dating system. It is believed in the medieval period that when the moon or a specific constellation was in a certain position, then it had the power to determine if an action at a time, an hour, a day, a date, or year was positive or negative. This knowledge would have been common to many and used by military groups. The aim of this scroll is to provide the trainee shinobi with a record of an understanding of these associations. To aid the modern reader, it is helpful to understand that the date was identified in two ways, by the 12 zodiac animals, the hare, monkey, and so on, and by the 10 heavenly stems. These are Japanese words like kinoto and kinoe, and together they make the series of combinations that cycle forever in blocks of 60. Lunar mansions are simply a position in the sky, 28 in all, which the moon travels around each lunar month. With just this information, it is possible to understand the main aim of each entry in the scroll, and what it is used for. A modern diagram is supplied to help you follow the instructions in the scroll, as often the text will say count clockwise, or move 6 signs from the monkey, or something to that effect. This you can do for yourself with the aid of the image provided in that section. The actual instructions in the scroll are ambiguous. The function is to find a positive heavenly time to perform a certain task. Therefore, while this section may strain your attention, it has been kept in the scroll for completeness and for your future study as your understanding of shinobi no jutsu increases. The more mainstream shinobi instructions start again on page 94. Measurements. All measurements are given in their original Japanese forms, such as shaku, sun, and bu. The Western equivalents are easily obtained, and a reduced table is given below. Shaku means 30 centimeters. Sun is 3 centimeters. Bu is 3 millimeters. Ryo is 15 grams. Moma is 3.75 grams. Kin is 600 grams. Sho is 1.8 liters. Go is 180 milliliters. Arts, skills, traditions, and principles. Most of the skills found within this book, as in many scrolls from medieval Japan, come with an accompanying title, and all of them contain suffixes that follow a generic form. Each of the differing suffixes are actually very close in meaning and are often interchangeable. However, they do still contain subtle changes. We have attempted to unify the translations of each of these to promote conformity. However, the feel of them in English can sometimes not work well, and alternatives have to be used. In general, we have tried to stick to the following translations where possible. No tsutai has been translated as tradition of. No koto has been translated as art of. No daiji has been translated as principle of. No jutsu has been translated as skill of. While consistency has been strived for, variations in this rule may occur, therefore it is beneficial to familiarize yourself with the Japanese form of these endings. Concerning in and yo, throughout this book you'll come encounter the concepts of in and yo in many teachings and instructions where Chi Komatsu uses one of these as a prefix or suffix. The concept is not altogether alien to a Western audience. We understand it as yin and yang, the Eastern notion of dark and light. While the ideograms remain the same in both Chinese and Japanese, the pronunciation changes to in and yo in the latter. This idea of dark and light is integral to the Japanese system of thought and has a strong presence in the text. However, a direct translation changes depending on this context and the grammatical structure used. This translation has kept the original reading of in and yo, as we feel that a Western reader will benefit more from the use of the original language instead of a series of differing translations. Enter the realm of the Shinobi. One fundamental mistake most people make when reading Shinobi texts is that they class the translations as a full curriculum, a complete set of skills. In one respect, this is true. That is, the translations are full Shinobi skill sets, but those writing these manuals and carrying out these tasks had other skills as well. These Shinobi were a part of the warrior culture, and you should understand that the skills of the ninja were an add-on used to enhance a warrior's already formidable skill set. In the Sengoku period, the time when these arts were perfected, a samurai would be a proficient fighter, horseman, and sometimes a war master. But more than all these things, such as swordsmanship, archery, swimming, sea warfare, survival techniques, they had shinobi no jutsu for those special needs, making them warriors with that little extra exceptional advantage, an advantage that could almost guarantee employment and was kept very close in secret. Therefore, before you finally reach the text, take a moment to stop and consider where you are about to journey. Deep in the mountains and war-torn lands of the Sengoku period, war-hardened men were operating, where many killed and were killed. They did this with the knowledge that you are about to read, ingrained in their minds, memorized through years of training, and it was a daunting task to put these skills into operation in a land riven by conflict. So while these translations may simply be of great interest to a modern audience, they were once the deepest of secrets and repositories of applicable knowledge. Notes. 1. These positions appear to be menial to Western understanding, however. They are positions of authority in the Lord's house. 2. The fourth inheritor of the Owari Tokugawa clan, born 1689, died 1713. His reign was from 1699 to 1713. He was also known as Enkaku-in, his Buddhist name. 3. A famous merchant in Owari who was very successful in the medicine business. 4. Tokugawa Munekatsu, who reigned from 1739 to 1761. 5. Ueno Kozaemon was a Metsuke, in this case the supervisor of retainers, and later promoted to a close aide to the 6th lord of the Owari Tokugawa family, who reigned from 1713 to 1731. 6. Most likely when Tokugawa took over Shingen's forces. 7. Tokugawa Mitsutomo, the 2nd lord and head of the Owari Tokugawa family. 8. The distance from Nagoya, Owari, to present-day Kawasaki City is more than 430 kilometers, and therefore it appears that the episode is referring to a place called Kawasaki in Owari province, which is located no more than 70 kilometers from Nagoya. This story is about the speed with which he performed the task, which he most likely did on horseback. 9. Yokosuka is a place in Owari province, present-day Aichi, where Lord Mitsutomo had a residence. 10. One of the 3 main schools of gunnery from the Tokugawa shogunate. 11. This term possibly means someone who used to be of the samurai class and now is of upper peasant position, above the other 3 classes but below full warrior status. 12. This skill does appear in other manuals. 13. This should not be taken too literally, and the author is showing depths of understanding which are kept secret, not a grading or curriculum. Part 1. The skills of Eaga and Koka. Yokan Kajo Denmoku Kugi. The oral traditions of Eaga and Koka, and additional articles on the use of spies. The upper scroll. The traditions of Eaga and Koka. There are 2 scrolls of additional articles pertaining to Koka Shinobi and have been transmitted to me by Yasutaka, Kimura Okonosuke Sensei. 2 scrolls is mentioned as note 1. Also, there is 1 scroll pertaining to the traditions of Eaga Shinobi, which has been transmitted to me by Yorihide Takenoshita Heigaku Sensei. For all of these manuals, there is a small amount of oral tradition that accompanies them, and these traditions have been passed on by memorizing and learning them each by heart, so as to not lose this knowledge, and therefore since ancient times, they have never been written down. I, Shigenori, have now made a resolution to combine the following 2 documents together, the Kajo, or Koka traditions, and the Denmoku, Eaga traditions, and also I have collected and written down 6 or 7 out of 10 of the oral traditions which have been passed on. The remaining 3 or 4 oral traditions out of every 10 are such deep secrets that they have been omitted here. This is because they should be taught only through hearing them thoroughly and directly, and only from one person to another. Therefore you should have no doubts about these omissions, but instead devote yourself to the study of the arts which have been recorded here. I have no intention of making anything secret within these writings, but only wish to pass down these traditions to those who have the ability and ambition to learn them, so that these skills will not die out. This is my true hope, and anyone who aims to learn these ways should learn them with extreme diligence and without neglect. Written in the first days of the third month of 1737 in Bishu of Owari province by the founder of the Renpeido School of War, Fujiwara Shigenori. 1. Shinobi no Kunden. The traditions of the meaning of the ideogram Shinobi. Koka traditions say, this ideogram is called Shinobi as they act in secret. Footnote 2. Away from the eyes or the ears. Eaga traditions say, when you make a thing that you have in hand a deep secret, it is called Shinobi. The deepest secret traditions of Koka say it is from the ideogram which means patience. Thus it is called Shinobi because the skills of the Shinobi are skills you need to endure the unendurable, or any difficulties or hardships that are imaginable. Those who follow this path should think of what the name of their profession truly means. If you keep this in mind at all times, you will be able to complete Shinobi missions and distinguish yourself. I, Shigenori, say, the point taken from the deepest secret traditions above is entirely appropriate. Shinobi no Kigen. Concerning the origin of Shinobi. Eaga traditions say, according to the upper scroll of records of ancient matters, footnote 3, the god Susanoo changed Princess Kushinada into a magic comb, and put the comb in his hair. This comb was called Yusutsumagushi. Next, Susanoo exterminated Yamata no Orochi, a giant 8-headed snake. This is the very origin of Shinobi no Jutsu, the arts of the Shinobi. Koka traditions say, according to the lower scrolls of the same writing as above, the god Takamimusubi sent a bird called Nanashi no Kigishi, which means a common pheasant of no name, to investigate how the god he sent years beforehand was behaving on Earth. This is the origin of the Shinobi. What follows is a picture of the god Susanoo about to join the giant serpent in combat. He appears to be staring down into an abyss, or sea, from a cliff or seashore at a serpent. Yasutaka, Kimura of Koka, says our shinobi originated in the Age of the Gods, and their skills have been passed down until today, even across this extensive period of time. Although it is rare that lineages should last so long, this actually is the case with ours. This is because our shinobi arts are military skills which have their roots in the divine and are not only human affairs. Footnote 4. As are those military tactics in other countries. Footnote 5. I, Shigenori, say, I think the tradition most appropriate is the one which says its origin is the myth in which the god Susanoo transformed the princess before he killed the giant snake. This is because the bird Nanashi no Kigishi, that is, the nameless pheasant, was shot and killed with an arrow, and therefore this theory is not appropriate. Furthermore, it is also inappropriate to say that someone from low birth, footnote 6, who has no name, was the ancestor of the shinobi. One night, Master Yorihide of Eaga said to me that the Emperor Jinmu and the god Yamato Takeru both fought crusades and achieved great military feats by following the divine strategies of the god Susanoo. Susanoo began using shinobi no jutsu and killed the serpent in that story with ease. Therefore his divine strategy gave birth to military tactics which have endured from then until now, and here in this point is found the essence of divine warfare. However, these days, shinobi no jutsu is thought to be performed by those who are middle-level samurai and even lower people. Footnote 7. That is, people feel it is a job for those samurai of lower positions, and also they read the ideogram as shinobi, and call shinobi yatogumi, by the way, footnote 8, which means a band of night thieves. These points are totally incorrect. Some military scholars teach that shinobi no jutsu is not good enough for practical use, but this is because they themselves have not achieved this very mastery of military tactics. Therefore, do not be swayed by their shallow opinions. 3. Kaze ni toru no tsutai. The tradition of riding on the wind. Koka traditions say, the wind has no shape and neither do the shinobi. Whatever the situation is, you should change your appearance dependent on the circumstances at hand, and then infiltrate. The traditions also say that the ideogram for wind also makes the word fuzoku, which can mean manners and customs. Take note that manners and customs vary in 66 ways in 66 provinces. Footnote 9. Even in the same province, things can differ, as even those areas on the east side and the west side of Lake Biwa have different manners and customs from each other. Basically, it is primary to know what the manners and customs of any given area are like, and to imitate them as much as you can, and to not act against the ways of local people. Eaga traditions say, as the wind blows through even a smallest gap, shinobi can infiltrate through any such small breaches. However, if the place is perfectly guarded and has no openings, it may be the case not even the wind can blow in. Therefore, if there is no gap, you should not try to infiltrate needlessly, for if you do and if you push yourself too much, it can cause mistakes in the end. Secret traditions say, footnote 10, wind never shows its shape to people's eyes. And likewise, shinobi no jutsu should change so it too will not be detected. We're going to cut that off now and come back on number 4 of this section next time. The reason that we're reading these ninja manuals is simple. Each one does contain some information about how to use skills that criminals use. That much is true. And that's one reason that they are being taught to you, the people. Because you have the power to stop crime. You have the power to spot it happening, and you have the power to alert people to what's going on. Knowing how these criminal acts happen will help you to understand what a criminal is up to. what their target is and where they can find it, when, where, and how they will strike, what they will do, and then how they will clean up the scene and try to get away with it. In dire circumstances, such as a natural disaster, you can use similar skills to help yourself to survive until help comes, or you can get out of that area and find a better place. These skills, though, are not for you to profit from. They are for you to survive with, and to help others make their survival easier with, because ultimately, you, the people, are the real superheroes. You, the people, have the power. You, the people, are the power. Which brings us to the second reason for teaching you these things. Aside from survival and helping you to understand criminals better, it gives you an edge when it comes to social engineering. Social engineering is the process of using psychological techniques for manipulation and influence in order to achieve your goals through other people. Shinobi manuals are full of principles, strategies, techniques, and tactics on social engineering that worked back in the feudal era in Japan and work today, that worked in Japan and work all over the world because of how universal, how broad and all-encompassing they are. These are techniques that were learned individually and independently by men like Sun Tzu, Machiavelli, Rasputin, Joseph Stalin, and even the horrible monster Adolf Hitler. They're the techniques, they're the principles that were learned by the studies of the government through their MK Ultra and Sunstreak and Stargate programs. They are techniques used by high-level corporate individuals, by medieval guilds including the Order of Free and Accepted Masons and all of their offshoots, and all of the religions that are offshoots of them, and especially by the Illuminati. Back when, it existed under Johann Adam Weishaupt, and now exists as a philosophical position in 26 different volumes of his work, trying to convince people that elitism is real and good. It's not a good thing to be so weak and pathetic and fearful that you have to control others. If you absolutely have no other way to survive, it's understandable. But if you can survive without it, and you just feel like taking the easy way out, or your confidence is too low for you to see that you can survive without it, that cannot be tolerated. Innocent people, you cannot be allowed to be victimized by these techniques, these tactics, these principles and strategies. And so by learning about them, we follow the old adage, know thy enemy. Or as Sun Tzu puts it, know your enemy and know yourself. And in 1,000 battles, you will win 1,000 different times without losing a single man. In this case, you'll be able to spot a con artist, a manipulator, a player, whatever kind of elitist is coming your way, coming from a mile away. You'll be able to notice their game, break it down, find the weak spots in it, and get through those weak spots, maybe to help enlighten them to see that they don't need to be scared that they're not good enough, that they are not enough, that they should be happy with and proud of what they can get honestly, because that shows that they are good enough, that they are enough. Because ultimately manipulation shows weakness and fear and knowing that one is weak, while honesty and fair play shows strength and confidence and knowing that one is strong enough to make it work. And if you are weak and fearful, if you are someone who is faced with overwhelming odds and need some edge so that you can just get by, it's okay. Because you're in that kind of emergency situation, it's okay. You do what you have to do to survive. Nobody will fault you for that. But if you have an okay life and you have opportunities like everyone else, it's not okay to cheat your way through. My drill sergeant, before I was personally washed out of the U.S. Army's basic combat training program, used to say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But you know what? That's because American soldiers are put in emergency situations all the time. Life and death, facing impossible odds. And they have to come out of it, and they have to come out of it in ways that the international community will be okay with and maybe even see as heroic, given the circumstances. So yes, under those circumstances, it's okay to cheat. You know what else they said? It was pretty much a maxim in basic training. The drill sergeants, whenever they would see you cheating, whenever they would catch you cheating at something you were supposed to get good at during peacetime, under ideal conditions, they would tell you, the standard is not going to drop down to reach you. You must reach up to the standard. I believe that everyone is capable of reaching up to the standard under ideal conditions, under even and equal conditions. And I believe that those of us who have exceeded the standard should be willing and able and ready to help those who still fall short for whatever reason. Help them reach the standard. Maybe help them get a leg up above the standard so they can be in a better position and they can help someone else. This is Any Man reminding you that you are the superhero. You are the power. You have the power. You are just like everyone else, and everyone else is just like you. Use that wisely and use it well.